Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. A little bit of preamble. Back in the 2000s, bigger was better. Enormous watches with enormous price tags became mainstream and highly lucrative. Richard Mille discovered that there was room in the market for six-figure shock-resistant sport tourbillon watches, that people were willing to pay for them and even wear them for extreme sports, professional and amateur. Audemars Piguet had revealed that oversized sports watches had a mass market even at the high end, with their seemingly limitless series of Royal Oak offshore special editions. And of course, Hublot proved that the universality of the big watch appeal transcended even humble roots for its ETA-powered big bangs. So, against that backdrop, Glashütte Original decided, newly flush with Swatch Group money, it should develop an haute de gamme sports watch line up to and including what you see here, which is the Geo Sport Evo Impact Tourbillon. Now, in the early 2000s, Glashütte Original launched the Sport Evolution series of sports watches. The Impact series took all of that and made it bigger in a purposeful sense, adding 1, 2, 3, 4 elastomers and an inner and outer case so that the movement could be braced against shock as on a Richard Mille. Now, the timepiece you see right here was part of a 100-piece limited edition launched in late 2008 for the 2009 model year. I'm going to throw it on my wrist and give you a good sense of how big it is. It is 46 millimeters in diameter and it's huge. I believe you need a 17 centimeter circumference wrist to wear this watch. So it's 46 millimeters in diameter. It is not as thick as you might think. It's 15.5, which is thick, don't get me wrong, but not compared to what goes into the case. Automatic winding, water resistance, and a flying tourbillon. The watch is broad across the wrist at 55.5 millimeters, and it has a large 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Surprisingly, alternative straps in leather and a full metal bracelet are offered by Glashütte Original for this watch. The strap that's fit is probably the best companion if you really want to wear the watch as intended. It's immune to scratches and dents, it's highly pliant, comfortable, and laughs off exposure to water, salt, or sweat. You can see it has striations molded into it, giving it a three-dimensional quality. It conforms perfectly to the case band, and it is securely attached. You can see that there's a methodology that includes thick bars and then set screws to hold the strap, or for that matter, the bracelet to the case. So you need to remove the set screw before you can push the bar through, meaning this is a lot more secure than a spring bar arrangement. Vulcanized strap, you can see the character lines of the strap are even molded into the strap minders. We do have a simple, alternately satinated and polished Glashütte Original pin buckle, which is great for adjustment of this sports watch strap on the fly. You can see Geo branded. This is a factory piece. The case is simple but strong. The lugs are broken out slightly, a nod to the company's dress watch line, which almost invariably included the same feature. You can see the case is bowed inward towards its case back. The bezel is narrowed as a vertical segment that includes both polish and satin. And then there is a anodized metallic, I believe it to be an anodized aluminum bezel that can be used for more easily reading the minutes, and it will be used for reading the minutes because there's no central second and the bezel does not rotate. Screw down crown, 100-meter water resistance. The crown guards themselves are actually held on with screws, so if they get gashed or disfigured, they can be replaced at the time of service. Now, this is not just a highly water-resistant sports watch. It is also quite well loomed. You can easily see the positions relative to the rest of the dial of the minute and hour hands. Getting a little bit closer, you can see that there's a flange outboard against which the minutes can be read, and then we have those elastomers. That's what sets the Sport Evolution Impact series apart from the standard Sport Evos. It's the addition of these shock absorbers that made possible everything from firearms use to golf. You want to go to the batting cages, you want to go mountain biking, all of that is good to go. Provided you don't actually drop the watch, it can withstand a shocking amount of abuse. You can see that there are some subtleties on the dials. We have a textured track underneath the applique hour indices, and you can see that there's a little bit of a faceting to the indices themselves, and then a track outboard of the flying tourbillon that allows the tourbillon to be used as a constant seconds register. Let's get as close as we can here. Glashütte Original wants you to remember that it was easy East German watchmakers who invented the flying tourbillon. The flying tourbillon, created by Alfred Helwig in the 1920s, has no upper bridge, so you get to fully appreciate the mechanism unobstructed. Here you can see that the shape of the cage is actually historically inspired by timepieces from the period, and the capstone to the tourbillon is none other than a brilliant cut diamond. There's one on each side of the tourbillon, and while the pivot rubies of the movement are synthetic, the diamonds are real. You can also see that we have an overcoil hairspring, so this is a chronometry-oriented tourbillon. It's not just there for aesthetics. The overcoil means that the mass of the hairspring is relatively centered, and so it breathes concentrically, keeping consistent time in almost any position. The movement has a surprisingly high beat rate for a tourbillon at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and at 28.8, the vibrations per hour equate to 8 beats per second, which is again uncommon on a tourbillon. Note that the entire surface of the tourbillon cage is black polished with beveled edges, and the screws where they are featured have black polished tops and chamfered circumference and chamfered slots. You can also see that the bridge for the escapement has been immaculately hand finished, and then the base plate of the movement has engine turning as well as satination. It is impressively rendered. Turning it over, you can see this caliber 94 includes a 3/4 rotor for automatic winding. The movement has a 48-hour power reserve, and you can see that it features the 2 diamonds and then 50 pivot jewels. You can also see that there is a hand-engraved tourbillon plaque, all of this made in Glashütte in eastern Germany. There is a solarized reduction wheel for the winding system that is hand-finished, and you will see that the movement includes both polished screws and fired blued screws, as well as Glashütte stripes and handsome levels of anglage. It is the total package, and again, you can see it's a limited edition out of 100, individually numbered, 10 atmospheres water resistant, a remarkable alternative to something like a Richard Mille, because after all, this can do everything that can do, but it can also do a lot more. This is a timepiece that gives you a level of flexibility with the automatic winding, the luminescence, the high degree of water resistance, extremely uncommon even on the highest of the high-end RM watches. And because we have a double-digit panorama datum, we also have a quick-set system, so you can entertain your friends to no end. If they don't quite get the tourbillon, they'll love the jumping date. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.